it's almost like there's a stop. You know how I said last year, go back and watch my video if you haven't seen it, but I said that Blake Lively is like a robot. Hi everyone, welcome back to No Light Tarot. My name is Hallie, so grateful to have you all. Let's get into this reading. I'm really excited to be doing this. I have decided, just due to many different reasons, that I'm no longer going to put out a video every week. Excuse me, a video every day. I'm going to put out a video every week. Now, I do have a membership that gets extra videos, so I cover like different kind of topics on that membership. So if you want more videos, check out the membership. I have other great books too. I just have a lot going on in my life. Actually, I was going to pause the channel for a bit, but I love doing this so much, and I love you all, most of you. Even the people that just watch to hate watch, I still love you too. And just replying to people and stuff like that has become quite a chore for me recently. Even though I love doing it, I've just been behind. So I decided to take just kind of a step back and do weekly videos from now on. So I'm going to do like long weekly videos. Some of you really like, most of you like the long versions, so I'm going to try to keep those fun, interesting, and I'm really going to kind of do like deep dives, excuse me, not deep dives. Okay, so let's get into this. I do go live once a week too. I go live on Wednesday, usually in the evening about 8 or 9 p.m. So yeah, check that out. For now, because my schedule is changing up a lot, because like I said, I have a lot going on. Okay, so I'm going to do today ends with us. I know there are some requests from members that I do make unless it goes against my boundaries, so I do have a video coming very soon for a member. I'll probably do it next week with another video too, so that you guys still get that long version of the videos. And then next month, I cannot believe it, there's 2 months left of the year, crazy. Next month I'm going to start doing 2026 predictions. So insane that I'm doing 2026 predictions. Today I was like, in 4 months it's gonna be my birthday. It's crazy. So anyways, life goes so quickly. So I'm going to be using, to start off with, I'm doing an ends with us update. I'm doing a long version. I'm going to cover the overall energy. I'm going to do Justin, Blake, New York Times, and Wayfarer, and then I'm going to do the outcome. So I'm going to start with Justin, and I pulled some cards already. Please make sure that you like the video, you are subscribed, so you have that little button, that YouTube button next to your name, and you comment. I do love to hear comments. Please be respectful. Sometimes some people have crazy comments, and actually it's weird, I think YouTube is deleting some comments. Somebody wrote a comment 2 days ago that the comment disappeared. I don't know what is going on, but I don't know what's happening. I think that it just automatically kind of blocks. I tried to look for some comments and they also disappeared, so I don't know what's going on at all, because I did say that I have moderation, but moderation I should be able to look at them, and I haven't been able to look at them, so I don't know what's going on. That's YouTube, it's not me. Some people I have blocked and deleted, but that was on Johnny Depp's video mostly. But other than that, nothing really. For the most part, I keep comments up, unless it's extremely rude and calls the person I'm doing the reading on names, or me names, or implies kind of negative things. I'm open to feedback. I'm very open to feedback. But yeah, so let's get into it. So I'm using the Lightest Tarot, and I pulled this energy, and the energy that I got was by water. I think, you know, he's a Sun in Aquarius. I'm a Sun Aquarius too. I can relate somewhat to him. I don't feel like I have this need to please. Actually, go back and watch the video that I did last August. I speak a lot about what happened. I speak a lot about my predictions. A lot of what I predicted has come true. I haven't really been keeping up with it because, like I said, I've been very busy. I'm about to launch my second app, and it's taken a lot of energy and more time. They keep rejecting it, and I keep trying to get it put up again. So in that, I haven't been able to keep up with it a lot. And I watch Candace Owens, like when I'm coding, I watch Candace Owens in the background sometimes. And like I said, I don't agree with everything. And that's the beauty of life. We don't have to agree with everything we watch, you know. But I love how she covered this case, and she hasn't been covering it. So I haven't really found somebody that covers it as well as she did. If you have any recommendations for somebody that covers it as well as she did. I tried to watch some, like, her name was Laura. She seems so sweet, but I just can't follow along. You know, and people are so funny. Whenever somebody says you ramble in videos, I'm like, I don't take it personally, but that's just my style. But I think Candace Owens has a very nice way. She's very clear and concise, and she rounds up her argument very well, and I really appreciate that. You know, when it comes to videos like that, like journalistic topics, news topics, I like people that have very concise opinions. Okay, so let's get into it. So like I said, I'm using the Lightyear's Tarot. I pulled up his energy, and I got by the water, Hawaii. It just got that Hawaii in my head, and like by Honolulu, that kind of area. I've never been to Hawaii. I went when I was a kid, I believe. My dad used to take us on different trips. My parents took us, mostly my dad, and I think we went to Hawaii. From what I remember, there was pictures of us like by palm trees. It wasn't Florida, because we came to Florida too when I was a kid, but so I don't really have like a clear, concise image of it, but I just get it in my head. So it's not, I see like tropical area. It looks like the Pacifics, and that's why I'm getting Hawaii. And I see a lot of, you know, for Aquarius, I'm a sun Aquarius, that's what my point was. A lot of us, water is very healing to us. We are the water bearers. So I'm so grateful. In fact, before I moved to Miami, I manifested living by the water, and I live close to water, thank goodness. But there's something, nature does it too. I love parks, I love trees, but just the sea and being around water, like lakes, I love lakes. My ultimate dream is to have a house by a lake, because water does something to us as Aquarius. It just calms our soul, because we are the water bearers, you know. Even though we're not a water sign, water has this effect on us, and it heals us. So I see him just being by water and looking at the oceans, you know. There's something also very healing, something I love to do, is to wave watch, and I see him doing that too. I just get that vibe, because it reminds us that time passes, you know. You can build something, and this sounds cliche, but I find it to be immensely true. You know, when you're a kid and you build a sandcastle and the water comes and washes it away, you know, you build it again, you know, or you can decide not to. And I think he's thinking about those little metaphors. I feel like I relate to him a lot in that way. That Aquarius, we constantly think. We're big thinkers. Aquarius, Gemini, and Scorpios, I think, we're the three biggest thinkers of the signs, and we're constantly thinking. And in that overthinking, we start to create. We create, how do I say this? The water bearing, the water in the pot of the bearer is thought. And when we overthink, like the cycle of thinking helps us process our emotions. It helps us, especially if you have a moon in Aquarius, like I do. I think he has a moon in it's an air sign, I think he has a moon in. That repetitive motion, that repetitive thinking, like meditation, that's what helps us a lot. But the repetition of thinking about it helps us solve it. It's so weird. I know it sounds weird, but it does. It helps us solve it. That's why a lot of us are very good at technical things. We're good, a lot of us are good at technology, being detectives, puzzle solving, because we think about it until we solve it. And sometimes we get too fixated on it, which can be unhealthy. But thinking helps us heal, and a lot of people don't understand that about Aquarius. So with the Three of Cups, the Fool, and Three of Pentacles, so in his thought process, I see him, especially with Three of Pentacles, wanting possibly to start a new company. He might want to dissolve Wayfarer and completely start anew. I see that there has been issues, and it's going to come out. I'm telling you, it's going to come out. I'm not wishing this. I always say this. I come from a blank slate whenever I read this. I don't wish upon the tarot cards. I read what I see. And what I see here is that his friendship with Jamie Heath is not going that well. I think Jamie Heath, and I think he's a Scorpio from what I remember, the energy I pick up about him. Scorpios can be very loyal, and I appreciate Scorpios a lot. But the difference between female Scorpios and male Scorpios, I get along more with female Scorpios because of this reason. Male Scorpios tend to have this dominating power energy, which is Mars energy, and it's it becomes combative with Aquarius, because we just want to be happy, free, you know. We're the ultimate hippies. We're like business hippies. You know, live and let live is the Aquarius motto. But when it comes to business, it's very tricky being partnered with people that are very dominating, that like that kind of energy. Because we don't like to be boxed. And so if we feel like people are trying to box us into something that they want us to be, we start to drift away. And I really feel like Queen of Swords and Six of Pentacles, the drifting is happening. I see kind of like separation of assets between. That's why we need Aquarius. We need partners and business partners, love partners that let us be. It's very difficult to be in relationships with people, whether it's business or romantic, that want us to be something that we're not. And we'll take feedback. Some not so much. Some Aquarius not so much. But I think Justin would take feedback. And the kind of feedback, if you're dealing with an Aquarius, I say to people all the time, because I've had people tell me, Aquarius treated me badly, Aquarius did this, Aquarius did that, and I tell people, or my Aquarius ghosted me, and I tell people, you probably did something to them and they didn't want to change you, but you wanted to change them. And that is when people want to change us, that's when we cut ties, because we want to change of our own fruition. We'll be corrected here and there, but when it comes to completely changing as a person, we're out, completely out. And that's something I found the Scorpio struggle with. If Jamie Heath is not a Scorpio, Sun in Scorpio, he's got like a moon in Scorpio, something strong in Scorpio. And I love Scorpio. I think it's actually my favorite sign. But something I see Scorpios struggling with when they are in the shadow side is that they need to let people be themselves, you know. So with Page of Swords, Seven of Cups, and the Devil, especially with the Devil, I get the energy that Capricorn energy, there's somebody else in the picture who might be an investor. It might be that guy, that rich guy, the billionaire. But this, no, it's not. Somebody else, somebody new that wants to come in and invest. And this person is going to go with Jamie. So I see them by April. Time is fluid. So please don't say it's going. I'm not saying it's going to happen exactly in April, because you have free will. This person is going to come in. Four of Wands, Ace of Swords, and the Hermit. This person is going to come in, and they're going to come in, and with the Hermit, they're going to come in and say, you know, you could do things like this. You could do things like that. And then that's when Justin's going to be like, I don't like this. He feels like there's going to be a takeover of his company, and it's making him feel unwell. You know, I said this last year when I did the reading, the initial reading, and I said that Hollywood is a very tricky place. I feel people that have still stayed true to themselves in Hollywood, I am amazed. I have yet to meet somebody that has. No shade to people I know in Hollywood. If I came across shady, I don't mean to come across shady. But when you, it's just, I've said this before when somebody was like, you don't have to mention who you've dated, and I always say I don't do it to name drop, I do it to give perspective. And when you date a celebrity, it gives you perspective, because you think, I mean, I've never thought this, because there are people, I grew up knowing famous people, some, not all, but when you see that they're surrounded by people that say yes all the time, and you come in as somebody with authentic intentions, it's very jarring to that person, you know, because they're like, wait, somebody's telling me no. It's like, yeah, somebody's telling you no. You know, so people can't say no if they are being authentic. And it's hard to differentiate who's being truthful and who's being not. And I don't know if I'd become paranoid, but I don't know if that life is for me, honestly. Okay, so let's move on to Blake Lively. I see her energy. I'm going to use the Earth Woman Tarot for this. Okay, Queen of Wands, Temperance, and Knight of Swords with 6 of Cups in reverse. So there seems to be like a stop. I feel as though, and I did say that I see them, it's going to end up, we'll come back to that with the overall energy and overall outcome, but it's almost like there's a stop. You know how I said last year, go back and watch my video if you haven't seen it, but I said that Blake Lively is like a robot. And ooh, I just saw the devil card underneath. Yep, wow, very powerful. And this explains, the devil card adds to what I'm going to explain. But you know how I said last year, if you watched my videos, if you kept up with my videos, I said last year that Ryan Reynolds, her husband, treats her like a puppet, and he is the puppeteer. You know, actually like a ventriloquist, where she's speaking, she's like, you know how the ventriloquist is, where they're speaking like this, and then the woman, the puppet's speaking like fully. That is who I believe Ryan is to Blake. And I strongly see Blake rehearsing lines. He gives her lines, she rehearses them, and she comes out like, oh yes, that's my husband, we're a great family, yes, you know, I totally see how people can perceive that energy, you know. He, I believe, writes a lot of what she says, and he controls her from the background. Now when it comes to her freedom, they're trying to push that, and I did say that. I've been accurate a lot about Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Go and watch my videos. I've been accurate almost 100% with them. And I said that they're going to push this feminist persona, where he's in the background now, and she's going to, I said that they're going to do charity. She ended up doing some kind of like charity event. She's going to claim that she's just going to use the whole feminist perspective, pro-woman, but she's not really going to be supporter. Even said she's going to reach out to people of color, all that kind of stuff. Go back and watch my videos. But with here, Queen of Wands, Temperance, and Knight of Swords, I see specifically with Knight of Swords that she wants, I did say they were collecting data. The data that Ryan collected wants to give this, he wants to see how the world views him, right? Views her and him, mostly her, because he wants to mold her into who he wants her to be. And it reminds me of, there's an old Greek mythology. I need to look it up, because I used to love Greek mythology when I was a kid. Oh my gosh, I was obsessed with Greek mythology. And there's this Greek myth about this old man that takes in this younger woman, and he kind of molds her into who she is, and he creates almost like a monster. It's almost like Frankenstein kind of, but he creates a monster, and the person he created kind of turns around on him. And that's what I see that's going to happen is that I see she's going to blame him. When everything comes out, they're going to settle. We'll get to the overall outcome soon after I finish this. But at the end of it, she's going to say he made me do it. And I get an image of her on W magazine. It might not be W to be exact, but similar writing. It's in black and white, and it says he made me do it. And so especially with Queen of Wands and the Temperance, I see that she wants to. Now people come for me whenever I speak nicely about somebody that they don't like, but the whole point of this channel is we all have light and shadow. Some people like me, some people don't. Some people will say I'm an angel to them. Some people will say I'm a complete bitch to them. That is life. We all have good and bad within us. All of us. So I don't want to paint people as completely bad or as completely good. You know, I just never want to do that because it's not true. There's nuance. And something that I see about her is that as much as she comes across as very needy, desperate, that's a lot of her upbringing is like that, made her like that, I believe. Something that she has that's good is that she's like almost very childlike. She's very childish. And because she's very childish, I've said this before in other videos, that she has this, she hasn't been hit by reality yet. But it's going to hit her very soon. It's almost like she lives in a daze, you know? And because she's been able to get away with it, she hasn't really been grounded by life, you know? And I'm so grateful for living in New York and not having money and having to hustle my butt off. Because now when things happen to me, it doesn't affect me as much. COVID, yes, affected me. But other than that, knock on wood, I haven't really been, you know, New York really, and I was also in my 20s living in New York, so it's different. But something that I love about New York is that it really put my feet on the ground. It's different, like, I know she lives in New York too. It's different when you live in New York and you have money and you have a shelter, you're basically sheltered. But if you have no money, you move to New York, you have to hustle, it's you'll learn a lot. And she hasn't had to have, I'm not saying necessarily that she has to live in New York, I'm just saying she hasn't had to have her feet on the ground. But her time is coming. Everybody's time comes, whether we like it or not. So 3 of Wands, 8 of Cups, 8 of Wands and Knight of Wands. So lots of one energy. So a lot happening behind the scenes. Planning, marketing. I see a lot of planning in terms of she might launch like a jean brand. She's going to divert from this lawsuit. They're going to launch a lot of brands and kind of push all these different brands to get away from what's really going on with the lawsuit. So I see her launching like 3 different businesses. One of them is denim. Second one is like baby, kind of similar to what Jessica Alba did. Jessica Alba's so sweet though. I think she's the opposite of Blake Lively. I met her a few times. She's wonderful, really, really nice person. Just from what I saw, I don't know her. But third, it's I see like hair stuff, not her products like she already has, like Shark, you know, like hair appliance type. It is intuitive, so it doesn't have to be exactly this. This could also be, I could be picking up the planning process, but I'm usually accurate. Even go back and watch my Selena videos. A lot of you always say to me, you were so right about Selena, you said she was going to launch this, you said she was going to launch that. I'm usually right. It just doesn't, I don't go by facts, I go by energy, and energy can change. So yeah, that's what I see for Blake, is that she's going to be launching a lot of things to divert attention from the situation. Okay, so let's move on to the New York Times and the energy behind that. Okay, I'm going to use the music tarot for this. For this part, rather. Okay, so with the Temperance, Hierophant, and the Strength. So I did say, in fact, I've had a lot of technical issues too. That's why I decided to just do one video a week. Because I had to delete 3 of my videos. The sound didn't come out, and I was like, up to here. In South Africa, there's a saying, I was hurtful. If you're South African, you know what I mean. It was horrible. I haven't used the South African phrase in a very long time. But I saw it on Below Deck, because I watched Below Deck. She reminded me of hurtful, like when you're up to here. So I was up to here with technical stuff. I had to delete the video. But something that I predicted in that video was that the New York Times, something is going to come out in these depositions regarding Blake and the communication with the New York Times, which is going to lead us back to the New York Times. With the Temperance, Hierophant, and Strength, they just have to hold on. It's almost going to be like at the tail end, they're going to almost give up. And then something is going to come out like that, explaining how they were involved, explaining how New York Times got together with Blake. It's going to come out at the very end. I think it might even come out this month, because I feel like things, I said fall, so we are officially in fall. It's been about 8 days. But fall time, October, November, and December. By the end of this year, we'll have a good indication of how the New York Times was involved. Now, time is fluid. I'm just picking up now what I pick up. But we will definitely, through these depositions, get some information about the New York Times being correlated to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds and that whole camp. So I was talking about this when I did a video, I think around my birthday in February, which I can't believe was 6 months ago. Insane. How time flies. But I said, because I think it came out in January, right? December or January, about the message container. About the website being created by the New York Times that published the article. And the article had a message container. So basically, I code, right? I create apps. And that involves coding. And a website involves coding too. So I can read website code. I actually used to make websites. I don't really like it. I think it's boring. But in website, like in the school I went to, we learned how to create websites. And something that they showed that they created a message container. So for example, I'm gonna cut it short because I know most of you don't code. But in a short scenario, they created the image as opposed to just using an image, which is unnecessary unless you want to doctor that image, or if you want to alter it, or if you want to create like a message box. Like, for example, we had to create, in my school, we had to create a messaging app, right? So you create a message container to fill that message container. You know when you write a text, it goes into a container. They created that container. So why would they create the container if they already had the image? Wouldn't they just use the image? You know, I thought that was very, very odd as somebody that codes. So it got me thinking that the New York Times altered it because they were the ones that did that on the website. So I sent that to Brian Freeman. I don't know if he saw it or not, but I just thought, I wrote it also in Candace Owens' comments, and I thought as a coder, you would never do that because it saves you so much time to just use the image. So if I take a screenshot of an image of messages, I just use that screenshot. It would take me a minute as opposed to 10 minutes, you know, especially when you're coding, you want to be fast. So I don't understand why they would do that unless they were altering it, or they wanted to create messages going back and forth that was completely fake. That's what I believe, but that's just my theory. But we're going to find out all of this. It's going to be, the things we're going to find out are crazy. 7 of Wands, Queen of Wands, and 6 of Wands. So lots of working behind the scenes. They're trying to hide a lot. 7 of Wands. Let's see who this Queen of Wands is. Is Megan Toohey a fire sign? I feel like she's a fire sign. Okay, so we're going to find out with the World, Lovers, and the Chariot that somebody helped her. I think it might have been like a husband or something. Helped her create this whole image, create this whole website, create this whole. But I don't even think that the editors knew. It's kind of like a secret. She has been keeping it. Oh my gosh. She kept it a secret. So I feel as though there's like infighting in the New York Times. We're going to find this out because I really strongly believe Megan Twohey is going to get fired. If you don't know Megan Twohey, she is the one that wrote the piece about Justin Baldoni. It's very suspect. I used to work in media. I used to write articles for a magazine online, and it would take 2 weeks to get everything approved, and that was very easy articles about life stories. It was basically like, Sex and the City, how she had a column. I used to have a column on a magazine, very similar, but mine was online, so it didn't have to even get printed. Now to print takes longer. And that was printed too. So I strongly believe Megan Twohey had at least, the message from the website, the source code said October. So that's at least 2 months, which sounds correct because I have friends that have worked in media too, have written pieces. I actually had a friend that worked at the New York Times. And I never asked her specifically how long it would take. She didn't have great things to say about the New York Times. Okay, when you leave a job, you kind of vent, so it's fine, whatever. But she wasn't really a friend. She was more of an acquaintance, let's say that. But it takes at least a month to get approval, especially on a corporate level like the New York Times. So it just doesn't ring true for me that day they came out with the same. That day she files a lawsuit. That day they clearly got a tip. Four of Swords, Eight of Cups, Awakening. So I think, like I said, there was infighting in the New York Times, and I think somebody has wanted to get rid of Megan Twohey for a while, and she thought this was kind of her revival. I think she hasn't had a proper story in a while. I think people were disappointed in how she was handling situations, and she thought that this was going to be her kind of Harvey Weinstein hit, as you would call it. But Two of Swords, Nine of Pentacles, it didn't work out like that. So Nine of Pentacles, I see her being let go and her getting a severance pay. I guess springtime of 2026 she's going to be let go. Time is fluid. I know I predicted before, but things are being, because the process with Blake Lively is taking so long, this is taking long too, because after that comes this. Because we're going to, like I said, in depositions, we're going to find out. It's going to be shocking to people. People are going to be shocked. So, yeah. So let's do overall energy and outcome, and then I'm going to end this video. Use a Star Child Tarot for this. So overall energy and outcome. So I just got an image of Justin Baldoni crying from happy tears of joy, and saying thank you for everybody for believing in me. Wow. Oh, that made me emotional. I get the same energy that I did when I did the Johnny Depp trial. I used to cover that. People would write comments saying that I was wrong. He wasn't going to win. It was almost impossible. But when I see something, I tell everybody this. I don't wish it. It's what I see. And just like with my dreams, just like with intuition, being an intuitive, you pick up a lot. And it's not what we want to see, it's what we see. So, especially with Eight of Swords at the bottom of the deck, I see here that it's almost like, you see how she's picking up her sword. Oh, this is so powerful. If anybody knows Justin, tell him please to hold on. He is about to embark on something so big. He has no idea. This is just the beginning for him. Because when he recovers after this, that's when his true life is going to begin. That made me actually kind of emotional, especially with the star card. The star card is the Aquarius card. And I see him crying and saying, thank you for everybody for believing in me. Things got really rough. Oh, I'm about to get emotional. Oh my goodness me. So Page of Crystals, Six of Crystals, and the Empress. And he's going to thank his wife because his wife has really supported him. I'm so proud of her, you know, for sticking with him, you know, especially post Me Too. I think a lot of women are just quick to kind of shove men to the side. But I've never seen, for Me Too should never have been woman versus man. It should have always been right versus wrong, justice versus injustice. And I think we have conflated the two, and come into this all men are bad, when it's not true at all. All humans are capable of good and bad. All, you know, whether you are a man, woman, black, white, Asian, whatever, we're all capable of it. And whenever we attach it to specific people or specific things, habits, culture is different. We can create patterns from habits, you know, generational trauma, generational habits. But when it comes to, in terms of man, it's just not okay to say all men are bad, you know, or all women are like this, or all men are like that. So yeah, I'm very glad that she stuck by her husband. I'm really, really glad. And he's going to be very happy with her. He is very happy with her. So let's see. Seven of Cups, the Sun, and the Chariot. So especially with the Chariot, I see that Blake is going to say she's focusing on her home. She's focusing on her family. She wants time alone. She's going to make herself a victim after all of this without saying it outright, kind of like Amber Heard did. Without saying it outright, she's going to say, I'm just focusing on my family, you know, my kids, everything. Then Ryan is going to replace her with somebody younger. I saw that. And once she gets replaced, then she's going to come out and be against him, against Ryan. Because I see Ryan for once remarrying. And with the new marriage, that's when things are going to really really like shift. It's going to kind of ignite something in her, which is intense. So that's what I have for you guys. It's been so fun doing this video. I'm so grateful for all of you for watching. Please make sure that you like the video, subscribe, and I look forward to doing more of these long videos. It's just helpful in terms of my time, my editing, so I don't spend hours editing and then have to delete all of the videos. Yeah, so thank you everybody for watching. I love you all. Stay tuned for more. Take care.